meeting is being recorded.
Okay, so welcome to the third part of our first module, the third and last part. Before we go into today's teaching content, I would like to recap what we have had learned and looked at yesterday and the day before, and I probably want to invite you to do that together with me. Yeah. So what did you learn in the first day? What is the first order of love? And you can just talk.
The family systems. Oh, blood. The family system. So it had three things: blood, actions, and destiny that can go into that system.
And how do we call the first order of love?
Belonging.
There, very good, very good. So, and yesterday we looked at the second order of love. What was that about?
The order of the order of the flow of love.
Yeah, so it's nice to put it. Yeah, yeah. What is the name for it?
The order of birth.
Not quite.
The order of birth.
It's not the name of the order. We talked about the order of birth while we were talking about the second order of love. You remember? There are two words you can use actually if you talk about the second order of love. The first one is the order of ranking, or
the order of first. Who comes first?
Yeah, yeah. Or what is the term? It's like a quiz here, right? I have to press the buzzer. Huh? Sorry, say again.
First come, first serve.
Yeah, that's all right. That's all right. It's not the word I'm looking for.
I know. I just want.
Okay, shall I give it away?
Yeah.
The order of precedence.
Precedence.
Okay, very good. Right, and today we are talking about the third order of love, and that would be also the last. We only have 3 orders of love, and this is balancing. This is the order of balance. And what it means is what balance? Balance of giving and receiving.
So we have the order of the flow of love, the order,
which we call belonging.
The order of belonging, the order of precedence,
yeah,
and the order of balance.
Yes, correct. So, right, let's go into it. Overview. So what are we looking at today in the next 3 hours? We are looking at the order of balance. We are looking at in specific and in giving and receiving in relationships, because this is the order of balance, giving and receiving in relationships. And then we have to look at different relationships, because the order is different, depend on which relationship it is regarded. So we are looking at the mother-child relationship and how to balance there. We are looking at the father-child relationship. We are looking from the other perspective of the child towards the parents and this relationship. We are looking at the relationship to the ancestors of our family system. And then finally, we are looking at romantic relationships. And then we're also talking about different relationships that how we can categorize them and where do they fall under while we look at it. So let's go. Mother and child relationship. We know already, Charlotte said it, the flow of love. We know already that due to the first order, mother's love flows towards the children. That's a given. Doesn't matter how the love looks like. That is just like nature's law. Now, we also know, if we look at this picture, the water comes from the spring, runs down the hill to the lake or the ocean. We always know from this picture that water never flows back, right? And this is why I like the picture, because this will remind you that the love of the mother does not flow back from the child to the mother. What flows back from the child to the mother is a different love. It's not the same. Yeah. This nurturing and caring love is specific mother's love. Children are not supposed to give anything back. That's very important to remember that. Yeah. The river only flows in one direction. The water doesn't flow back to the spring. Just remember this picture when you think about the third order of love in the family constellation and relationships, or in daily life even. That actually applies in daily life as well. So what is balancing? Now, this is obviously unbalanced. Like there is a giver and then there's a receiver. How is it balanced? It's very one-sided, yeah? So the children balancing out this receiving by letting it flow. They give this mother love, this nourishing and caring love to their own children, or if they don't have children, to an equal good cause or something that is close to their heart. Animals, plants, environment, you name it, right? Disabled or whatever, or they have foster children or foster dogs, or, you know, this is important, because if a receiver of this mother's love is not balancing it out, what do you think what happens?
It gets blocked, and therefore the flow of the mother's love can't come in because there's a block.
Exactly. And when you think of this rock in the stream, this block stays there, right? So for the family, this is a new trauma. Something that a descendant has to pick up on, one way or the other, right? So I give an example. Let's say the mother's love has flown to a child, and for some reason this adult child is not very receptive to, doesn't feel giving. Let's put it that way, and never get married, never has children, doesn't like animals. You know, a situation like this. Lives in the city, works from 9 to 5, watches TV when he comes home, drinks beer with mates, and that's it. Now, this is creating this block or this rock in the river. Now, obviously, he has no children, but let's say his sibling has children, right? Now, one of his siblings' children can develop anything, an allergy or a disease, or is unsuccessful in life, or stumbles always over the same problem, has always the wrong partner, whatever, you name it. It could be anything. In the family constellation, remember whose belongs, yeah? In the family constellation, his father and mother are there, and then there is this brother who wasn't able to balance out the mother's love. And he belongs to the family system of this child, yeah? In second generation, siblings belong to the family system. Now, this imbalance that has been caused through the brother or his uncle from the child, yeah, he could pick that up. He could be entangled with him. So in this way, this family system makes sure it doesn't get forgotten. Somebody will look at it. Yeah, 1 second can, and then one more generation is also possible. Now, if this child gets another child, still, this block is still present for the third generation, right? Yes, Karen.
So if the child who has the block, if he has a child, even if he never knows the child, will that the fact that he is a father, will that change the block,
Yes.
even though he hasn't changed any of his own patterns within himself of giving or receiving?
It will change it, yes.
Yeah.
Because this love that we are talking about is flowing naturally.
Yeah.
So if there's only one exception. If there's an interrupted movement, it's stuck as well towards their parents. But let's assume, for the sake of this example, there is not an interrupted movement, or it has been cleared. Yes, just by giving somebody the gift of life. And I have to say, even if it's a rape, yeah, just by giving the life forward, giving the gift of life forward, already the love flows for the family system. Of course, a rape would cause other problems, but anyhow, so just for the sake of so if there is a man who doesn't even know the children, yes, it still takes the block to a certain degree out. Yeah. So, what more? Children give, what do they give now to their mother? They give their thankfulness, their gratefulness, you know? And what is the greatest gift a child can give the mother? What do you think? Who is a mother and who knows exactly what you want from your child, Karen? What is the greatest gift?
Probably I like, which is unusual because I normally don't need words of affirmation, but I like my kids telling me that they're thankful or grateful or saying what I've done that's good for them. So I quite like thankfulness and hugs. I like hugs.
Yeah, absolutely. And when we put it together, what we give as a child to our mother, which is the greatest gift, is we don't judge her. We don't judge her and allow her the freedom to be her own person. Yeah. Yes, Kanoi.
Yeah, Maya. I mean, in Chinese society, the adult children is expected to stay and take care of their elderly parents.
Yeah,
So
that's a very good topic. I know in Asia that's very, very common. Yeah.
I mean, you are expected to do so. So does this violate the balance of giving and taking in this?
Yes. So no, yes and no. I have to. It depends. My answer is it depends how it's been done. So you can, as a child, look after your needy parents, but only if you have grown up. So you can do that from an adult perspective, yeah? Not from a child perspective, okay? So when you are still in need of the mother, yeah? And then you would look after the mother when she's older. So you never grew up, basically, yeah? Then it is not, that is causing an imbalance in the order. However, when one grows up, is an adult, respects the mother, there's no judgment, there is no interrupted movement, and then the mother falls ill. The adult child can care for the parent as if they would care for an uncle or even a friend. So the fact that it's the mother or the father should not be in the foreground when you care for somebody else. So you care like a caregiver would care, not like a child would care. So the point is here, the neediness of a child needs to be completely solved or resolved before it would not cause a block.
I think what you're trying to say is it is not out of because I want to gain her approval, and therefore I do it to please her.
Yeah, exactly. That's a child behavior. That's very good. That's put very well. I like that. This is exactly when it becomes a problem in balance in the third order of love. Very good. Very good. I see you got it. That's awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Kerstin, now you go.
When you when you just said giving and taking, and I at the beginning when we said we are saying giving and receiving.
Yeah.
We're talking about balance between giving and receiving.
Yes.
Is there a difference? Because there is a difference between saying giving and taking.
Yes, I prefer giving and receiving, definitely. But
Okay.
it is semantic, really. It's semantics. I mean, if you mean by taking receiving, it's better. If you mean by taking, I grab something that doesn't belong to me, right? Then it's not the right term.
Okay. Well, for me, I think it is quite, I find it, there's quite a big difference between saying taking or receiving.
So if you mean taking, you are actively taking something away from somebody, you're right. Yeah? Then you
Okay.
definitely don't want to use this word. You want to use the word receiving. It's always better to use it, because what is
Okay.
the opposite of giving is that the one who gets it is kind of, it's not quite passive. There needs to be an action of opening the heart to it and letting it in, right? That's the difference. So there is receiving is not completely passive, and receiving is actually quite a challenging movement for many of us, which has to do with the conscience we talked about in the first part. So the receiving is something you work on, and it's active, and it involves you, and it involves your intention, and you need to do something for it. That's in this means it is an active an act as well as would be taking. But taking, if you think more by taking off, not taking it in rather than taking it away, then you don't want to use the word taking.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Super. So what else do we have? The children's role is to receive mother's love as is, without judgment. If the child is able to do that, which is only possible if there is no interrupted movement towards the mother, because as we will learn later, this is a culprit in preventing the child from receiving the love, not the mother. The mother is not the culprit. The love is theirs, not the culprit. It's the child. A traumatized child cannot receive because the heart is closed. Yeah? So let's assume there is a child-mother relationship that has never been disrupted by any kind of trauma, which in many, many, many original indigenous folks is the case, because they carry the child everywhere. The child is never separate from the mother. Right? They go and farm, and they tie the child around them, and they nurse them while they walk, and you know what I mean. So this picture, there is no room for an interrupted movement. Yeah. But in our society, there's lots of room for an interrupted movement, and we will talk about that at another occasion, module 4. So the child's role is to receive mother's love as is, without judgment. That is the ideal. And nobody needs to feel bad when this is not happening, because life is just not like this set up, especially not in our what we call civilized society. Yeah, it's not set up like this. So there is plenty of room to have interrupted movements, traumas, little or big, and this is causing judgment. Now, our journey, our soul journey, is to overcome it, yeah, to heal it. And not only to heal our own trauma towards the mother, but also the traumas for the mothers before us, because we would probably not be the first and not the last, yeah, in the line of mothers. And that is the beautiful work of Bert Hellinger, that we can actually do. We got the tool to do that. Now, once there is no judgment in the child, and you can see that over and over again in the workshops, in the family constellations, the child's heart is opening up, and the love of the mother is flowing without any, it's like a natural thing. There's nothing in the way. The common problem in an unbalanced relationship is that the child cannot receive because of this trauma. Yeah. And this has nothing to do with distance later on. It is, we will talk about that, the trauma in early childhood, most often. Then the other culprit is the mother cannot give. And now I really mean give, because giving and receiving, giving is an act, although it's like receiving. Once it is possible, it just flows, but the mother cannot give when she herself has a trauma towards her mother. Yeah. And this is where the pattern from interrupted movements starts to emerge in a family constellation. This can go through several generations. Until, and we do that in family constellation, we put every generation there, and then we find the one where the mother is able to give. Could be the 5th, the 6th, maybe the 7th generation. Then we know that the trauma, the interrupted movement, was between generation 7 and 6. And we need to take it from there. We start at the generation 6 and heal the interrupted movement. Then I don't even know what is this, great-great-great-great-grandmother can actually, in a family constellation, is able to give to her child. And we do the same. It's her child has an interrupted movement, so we go through the same healing until she can give. All the way down to the current generation, where giving is then possible, and then all of a sudden the child is facing a mother that can give. That's the end of the constellation. At the beginning she couldn't, and at the end she can. Another problem could be the child feels superior to the mother. This is also preventing the child from receiving her love. And there are several reasons why a child feels superior to the mother. One I have briefly touched is when the child is entangled with the former partner of the other sex. Yeah. So in this case, it would be the father's former partner. That causes a trauma or an entanglement that the child feels superior. What is when the child feels superior? If the child is saying, I am the better partner. And what is it? Judgmental. The child is judging the mother. She's not a good partner for her husband. Yeah? Charlotte.
So when the child feels superior, is it always about not being a good enough partner for the husband, or can it be just like they think their mum's an idiot and they know
that
more
is
than her?
judgment.
So it's all the sort of ways that they could feel superior.
Yeah.
Okay,
cool. So in family constellation, we look at a few. So the most important ones is interrupted movement and entanglement with a former partner. That is the most often or the most obvious dynamics we look at when we see an arrogant child in a family constellation. But I'm sure there are maybe other dynamics that cause also the child to be judgmental towards the mother.
Can I just ask also, so I always get a little bit confused when we say, not confused, but takes a moment to remember what interrupted movement means. That means a trauma, right? Something is interrupted the forward flow to the mother instead of going straight towards something, stopping them, holding them back.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, I was just like.
So the interrupted movement is a trauma, an early childhood trauma. But there can be other traumas. Not every there are other childhood traumas as well that has nothing to do with the mother, right? So it's more the broader term is trauma or early childhood trauma, and then the more specific or one part of it is interrupted movement. However, it's the most common. It's the most common childhood trauma, right? So I don't know. If I have to put a figure to it, 90%. It's probably 95. That often, right? Okay. And then the opposite would be the mother feels weak towards the child. Now assume the child doesn't feel arrogant towards the mother, but the mother feels weak towards the child, right? That means she herself hasn't grown up. She's still a child. And that can have many reasons. Every reason we know, we just look at it in the next generation. It's the same reasons. Because remember, everyone you know, everyone you see in a family constellation has been a child once. Yeah? And they all went through the same that you might went through, or worse. And everything they do as an adult is an outcome, or not everything, but some things they do as an adult is an outcome from that. It's just what it is. So it is very important, and I remember Bert Hellinger was saying that, and I think he actually have a book title like this, that is in German. The German title is Deine Eltern waren auch Kinder, meaning your parents also have been children. Or the other one is Everyone is innocent, born, so are your parents. Everybody is born, I try to translate it. Everybody is born innocent, so were your parents, right? Just to remind everyone of this fact. So we are applying everything we have learned and just in the other generation when the mother feels weak, because there is a reason for it, and it's traumatic. No. So now look at the father-child relationship. So it's same. Father's love flows towards the children. That's the same. And the children are not supposed to give anything back to the father, as the river flows only in one direction. Also here, the father's love is balanced by giving or having children, especially for a man being a father, but also for the women, taking over the role of the father in a specific way, giving stability or this or that, right? Or to a good cause. This is the same principle. However, father's love has not this nourishing, caring aspect. It has this structure and stability aspect. So that would be the part in the child that continues to live, or that continues to give forward father's love, is the structure and support. And remember, when we said addiction have father's face, yeah, what do they struggle with normally? With structure and support, right? If you think of an addiction you might ever had, or somebody who has or had an addiction, and look closely, that's what they struggle with. Also here, the children give their thankfulness to the father for what? For the structure and support. And of course, and we look at that when we look at the typical problems with the father, it's slightly different, because we have established the father is not necessarily there, is not necessarily necessary, this is a strange sentence, to be present, yeah, because a child can live, without the father as long as the mother is there. But however, of course, it causes other traumas, no doubt about that. So children's role is to receive father's love as is, without judgment. Same principle. So in general, it's the same. Just the quality of the love is slightly different. So this is also why the problems are slightly different. The common problems in father-child relationship is that the father is rejected because he wasn't present. That is the most common dynamic that you see or that you hear from a client or a friend or with whom you work, yeah, that the father is judged because he wasn't present. That has nothing to do with an interrupted movement per se. It can, but it doesn't have to. It can also be just a perceived a perceived need through societal thinking, yeah. Because the father can, from a distance, give structure and support energetically. His physical presence is not needed for that. Not all the time, or sometimes not at all. The other problem is the father cannot give. That's also very common. Some men have problems to give. Yeah, that would be a father that is present, of course. That they are present but emotionally not present. And this, then, if this is the case, then we need to look at the parents of the father and where does it come from. Because if somebody cannot give, he hasn't grown up. He's still a child. The child is in the state of receiving, and the path of growing up, meaning from becoming a receiver into becoming a giver. So then we go generation and generation and generation and see where's the trauma, where's the entanglement that the father is not growing up. Where is he stuck in childhood, basically? Because you will find that somewhere in the family system. The father can have an interrupted movement towards the mother or towards his father. So that would be then your IMTTF, right? So this is also something that you have to look for in a family constellation. But details in Module 4. So there are other relationships we want to look at. Now look at the teacher-student relationship. The teacher-student relationship is similar to the father and child relationship. Why is that? Because the teachers give orientation, right? Meaning order and structure. It is not the same. The teacher is not the father. It's just the same energy. Yeah. So the same problems that appear here can be healed with what you learn about the father-child relationship. The same here, balancing, right? Remember, the river only flows down. That is the same for a teacher relationship. So in this relationship, that is similar to a relationship where giving back is not possible, which would be the father-child or the mother-child relationship. Now you ask yourself, why are they not giving back? They get paid for what they do, blah, blah, blah. This is not the balance. You know, teachers get paid for the time they spent, for the education they had, right? But for what you get from a teacher that really teaches you comes from the heart. That is nothing you can pay for. You know? And this is equivalent to father's love. Yeah? That every teacher gives freely. There's nothing to hold back anyhow, right? Because this is just an overflow of love, if you will, right? That they have. At one point, this is as important that at one point, if a student is really adamant and studies a long time and spends a lot of time and is full and full and full and full to the rim with the teachings of his teacher or teachers, yeah, the balance is to give it to their own students. So they have to start teaching as well at a certain point. That is a balance. That doesn't mean that every course you take makes you a teacher and you have to find students. That means if somebody is dedicated to be a teacher his whole life, that at the end of the life it would cause an imbalance if they would decide never to teach, only to hoard and hoard and hoard and hoard and hoard knowledge and maybe even wisdom and never give it further to future generations. That would cause an imbalance. Probably I tell you right here how you also can detect if a client has a father problem. Let's put it that way, an issue with the father. That is a client or a participant, a student who's rejecting the teacher. So somebody's rejecting the teacher, or in a group setting, being a facilitator, you have a group and one is getting at the facilitator. You know, the appropriate answer of the facilitator is not to shut him down, but to put him in the room and choose a representative for his father. Right? Let's look at ancestral relationships. They are the same as the parents. They came first, right? Obviously, second order of love precedence. So they give and the descendants receive. That is nothing new. That is exactly what it is. When we are working with ancestrals, we are just normally don't need to know, are they father, are they mother? Because this far away, 4 generations away, that makes, unless it's not an interrupted movement in a repetitive order, makes no difference, right? That far away. So what do the ancestors give? They don't give caring and nourishing love. They don't give structure and support. This is what you get from your parents or your grandparents, only in 3 generations, right? The ancestors from generation 4 to 7, they only give blessings. And blessings are also gifts that you can't give back. And obviously, it would be a breach of the second order of love to give blessings to an ancestor, right? That's not what you do. So you be just thankful and you receive it gratefully from the ancestors. In occasions, ancestors give through their children, as I said before, a specific love. That would be then a maternal or paternal love, but that would show up as a pattern, and that is most likely an interrupted movement towards the mother or towards the father. So then the ancestors are not ancestors anymore, then they are individuals. They are either mothers or fathers. But I have never seen another exemption from that. Right. Of course, if an ancestor is in a family constellation and is not giving blessings, right? And how do you know if an ancestor is giving blessings or not? What do you think? Just put it out there.
Well, you ask for something and it happens.
What do you ask?
You ask for whatever you want.
How about you ask for blessings?
Yeah.
And then nothing happened. Exactly.
Yeah.
It's very easy to test. The representative would say, "Oh, no, I don't want to do that." You know, some reaction like this, or turns around and looks away, or walks away, or whatever. So a very obvious way that no, they don't want to give blessings. Now we know we're only working with family system members in the family constellation, in the new family constellation, only with family members who are actually part of the healing. So this person who is an ancestor who doesn't want to give blessing has to have another role. And this can only be that he's an entangler, that he's entangled with somebody else. Right? Otherwise, the ancestor would not show up. Of course, sometimes, I mean, I'm going probably a little bit too far ahead here, but just to round this all up, sometimes you have representatives in the workshop, they just sit down where they come from. They just sit and they say, I have nothing to do with this. And that's fine. That's fine. They can sit. They definitely, obviously, have nothing to do with this. Yeah. But that's not very common. So most commonly is either the ancestor is there and gives blessing and support, or the ancestor is there because he's entangled or he's an entangler with one of the representatives of the family system. So yeah, you just test it. with asking them to give blessings, and then you know. That's very easy. So a common problem with ancestral relationships is that an ancestor is excluded, which is causing the imbalance, right? Because the ancestor can't give blessings anymore when it's excluded. So here is the healing to include the missing ancestor. Or the ancestor is not honored. Remember, in family constellation, it's always it's always either reconciliation or honor and respect. That's what we are. That's the movement we are going for. Reconciliation, love flowing, or honor and respect. Honor and respect can only come from somebody after the ancestor, right? Obviously. Right? And when somebody cannot give that honor and respect to the ancestor, that causes another block in the family system. Yes.
Hi, Maya. You just explained that the ancestors are here to give us blessing, and it's just like the river, like the flow of the river. It doesn't go the other way. But in Buddhism, and this is commonly seen in Asian society, we pray. We have a huge praying ceremony to pray for our ancestors, to give them blessing.
Yeah.
So
fine.
is that
because you are receiving, you're praying for receiving blessings. You're not giving your ancestors blessings.
According to the teaching, we are giving them the blessing.
A child is blessing a grandfather?
The ancestor. Yeah, the ancestor. We give them the blessing.
I think we have a semantic problem here, because I don't think that you mean blessing. I think you mean honor and respect. You ask for blessings from them. Right? If you pray, you ask. Don't you? Praying is asking for something.
Yeah, based on the teaching that I know, I'll double confirm and see. So this is what I've been told. So we pray so that our ancestors can rest in peace. That we give them blessing. So we organize the monk, they pray, they chant. We give them blessing.
Oh,
so
okay. I see what you say. Okay, so you can use the word. I wouldn't use the word blessing. I think that's the wrong word here. What you give to your ancestor is you acknowledge them, that they have a place in the family. Right?
Yes, that's right. I think that is one of the purpose that we set the altar at our home to acknowledge them. Yes, that's one. Maya, can you then just explain a little bit on the blessing? What do you really mean by receiving blessing from the ancestor?
Blessings is, when the term how we use it, is energy that flows from one who has more, like who has this love, who is closer to the source of love, when you will, to the ones that came after him, the descendants. That's the same as mothers and fathers' love. Right? It's just not nourishing, caring, or structuring and ordering. It is blessing.
So if this blessing is missing, that means there is a stumbling block in terms of the energy flow.
Yeah.
So then we experience obstacles in every aspect of our life. Do you mean that?
Yeah. It's just one. It's just one of many puzzle pieces that you can put together in order to heal the family system.
So we always get told, we pray for the ancestors is to remove all the stumbling blocks, to remove the obstacles. Yeah.
That's exactly. So the Buddhism is very close to the work of Bert Hellinger, really. By the way, did I tell you that Bert Hellinger was an ex-priest?
Yeah, I know, but I came to know that from the book.
Yeah. He's an ex-Catholic priest, and he has worked in Africa with children, very dedicated, until he understood the church is not doing anything for the children, just hoarding money, and giving their ideas into the brains of the children, And then he quit the church. And he married an ex-nun. he had a very, very colorful life.
Okay.
And
So
became a
that means
psychotherapist.
the praying ceremony that we organize for our ancestor
Yep.
in Buddhism
Yep.
is actually acknowledging and honoring them.
Yeah.
So that we can receive their blessing.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. That's exactly how you do it. And it's beautiful. If you're not overdoing it and making it like, you need to, you know what I mean. But yeah, it's beautiful.
Well, we have been doing it for years, but I don't. Okay, now I know.
Yeah,
the
very
truth.
good. Fantastic.
Okay. Okay, thank you for
Very good.
clarifying.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, so in a family constellation, you can either ask, please give me your blessing to an ancestor, or you can say to the ancestor, I honor and respect you. Right? Either or. What else do we have? What is an entanglement with an ancestor? Before, so I have, because I cannot say everything at once, we have a certain structure here. Before we go into what is an entanglement and in more greater detail, I just want to point out that an entanglement is the one who comes to you with a problem, with an issue, yeah, hasn't caused it most often in their own lifetime. It has been caused in a lifetime of a family member who belongs, or the first order of love, who belongs to the family system, right? And what happens here is that the client, let's talk at the client, that the client is entangled with somebody he has no idea ever existed, which is an ancestor, through epigenetic inheritance and the traumas that has been passed on. So what happens, although the client is the one looking for help and has an issue, let's say an allergy, right? You are not healing the allergy. You are helping to find the ancestor that he or she is entangled with. And now it's up to the ancestor to find that missing link, what was missing to cause an imbalance. Not to the client. The client's role, or the one who's entangled, is only to point at it, to find the wound. But healing can only happen where it happened, in the same age and time where it physically has happened, right? So I make an example. Let's say one of the ancestors was in First World War. And he has killed. First World War was with weapon, and you stand there, and it's no bombs or so. You have a gun, and you point your gun or your rifle at somebody else very close by, and then you shoot them. Yeah. And let's say your ancestor has shot a lot of people, and he never made peace with it. He might die on the battlefield as well. At least at the end, right? Okay, and there was never been able to make any peace with his destiny. Now he left the wife. The wife was pregnant when he left. He gets a child. The child grows up, inherited quasi the trauma from all these war scenarios. Yeah, has another child. He has his own traumas. Maybe he was in the Second World War. Same happened to him. He killed a lot of people. Then he has a child, third generation, doesn't know nothing about the wars. Yeah, still has inherited these traumas, and maybe he develops an allergy. Yeah, and they have another child. Now we are in the fourth generation, and he's passing on all the traumas from the war men, plus his own trauma that he had in his lifetime, to his child, who then, let's say, develops a depression or another mental disease, whatever. Yeah. Now this person comes to you. This is what we call the client. And in classical psychotherapies or school medicine even, they will only interview them what they have done, what happened to them. You will never find the cause of it by inquiring in his life only. But in the family constellation, this ancestor, the fourth generation, would appear. Right? He would appear, and I can tell you exactly how he would look lost. And he would look at the floor, and he would look at the floor, and that's where you see the entanglement, the imbalance. While your client, being represented, looks at this person with love. He loves him. You can see that in the representative. He's the bringer of the love back to where it belonged, to the First World War. Right? So then this ancestor, the soldier, with your help as a facilitator, reunites with all his victims. And that is freeing your client and lessen the symptoms he has, or maybe completely heal him from the depression, which is very likely. Yeah. So this is why I say the entangled person, your client, first generation, is pointing at an entanglement. They are not healing it. Right? Understood? Okay. Karen.
So in that scenario, Maya, so the healing is with the ancestor, and therefore the expression is healed from the client, whether it was an allergy or depression or whatever. Because the ancestor has healing in the trauma of the being a perpetrator, does that change that 7 generations of trauma within the family system in the under the action category of the, you know, when I can't remember the name, sorry, but when you've got the perpetrator, when somebody's taken somebody's life.
Yeah, victim perpetrator, yeah.
Yeah.
Tell me again the question.
So I understand that healing has happened for the ancestor, and therefore healing has happened for the client. But to go back to the ancestor to create a healing over taken life, does that change the family system of having the, you know, how we had under action and under perpetrator, that they now have 7 generations linked as well?
Yes. So when I understand you right, so let's look at it in more detail, this example. The victims have their own family system, but through the action, they belong to the family system the client is looking at.
Yes.
Right? This is a matter of belonging. And because they belong, they cannot be excluded. But the perpetrator excluded them. And that was causing the imbalance, right? Because nobody goes and die before they die says, I love everybody I have killed. You know, this is just, you know, this is not happening. So the soul is trapped, if you will, on the battlefield. So are the victims. So these uniting of victim and perpetrator in the morphogenetic field, who are in the First World War, in the moment they die, you know, practically speaking. I mean, of course it doesn't look like this, but you know what I mean. So in this moment, this is rippling down to the client, all happening in the family constellation.
So in this scenario, would there be healing within the victim-perpetrator relationship as well?
Yes.
Okay.
That's the source of the wound, and that's also the source of the healing.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
So the only thing your client does is he suffers, he loves the ancestor unknowingly, and he is how can I say, bold enough to look at it. No? Classical psychotherapy, or a lot of alternative therapies or whatnot you can hear of, they try to to look at the individual only and apply whatever healing modalities it might be. And it might lessen the symptoms, but the source of the problem will not be touched. Yeah. Okay. Very good. Okay. So the right order here is that the descendant is receiving blessings from the ancestor, yeah, and the ancestor is fixing the problem. That's what I wanted to say. So that you get the order right and the balance here. He doesn't need to receive blessing. He can also just actively honor and respect the ancestor without judgment, of course, for what he has done. Right. Okay. Yes, Charlotte.
Isn't he kind of fixing it by turning up to do a family constellation, for example?
Say it again.
Isn't the descendant kind of fixing it by turning up to do a family constellation? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. That's his role.
Okay, cool.
Yep, that's his role.
So it doesn't need to be burdened with it forever.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, when you have no more questions, then we have a little exercise with this. So, I would like you to meet an ancestor. And you do that again in groups of 2 in your breakout rooms. And I don't want you to think of a specific ancestor if you can. Just hold a space in your heart which allows an ancestor to come into that you don't know of yet, right? And you don't need to physically see somebody. That's not the exercise. And you don't need to connect with somebody, or don't. It's an exercise to open your heart and mind, if you will, to invite an ancestor in and receive blessings without needing to have an image of them from a photo or something. However, just a disclaimer, if this is really hard for you, you can have an image of an ancestor from a photo in your mind. But I would like you to try first without and see what you can experience for yourself. Yeah? And then you swap, of course. So we always swap. So one is the ancestor, the representative of the ancestor. The other one is himself, herself. And then we swap. Yeah? And you just meet your partner in this exercise as an ancestor. And you keep your heart open to see how far back
Hello.
this can go. Kerstin, are you? Is that a question?
I'm lost. I'm lost again. Yes, I'm lost again. So I'm not gonna muckle it up again. So I'm envisioning an ancestor.
In your partner,
And
in the
what
exercise.
does my
So so your partner is representing an ancestor.
Yeah.
Yeah. So so come back. We had an exercise with the mother. You know your mother. So when you're looking, let's say, at Charlotte, because she was your partner in the exercise, you look in Charlotte and you know Charlotte is your mother. Right? And then you have the picture of your mother in front of you and blah, blah, blah. With the ancestor, I would like you not, if you can, not to have a picture of a photo in black and white that you have seen with your mother or father in front of you. And it's definitely not the grandmother or grandfather. These are not ancestors. It has to be generation 4 and above. Yeah, that you are open enough to see no individual at first, and see how you can connect with the ancestor that you invite, and that your partner in this exercise is representing, connected with the field of your system, right? And then the exercise is to receive the blessing and to give honor and respect. Is that clear? And then we swap, of course. Okay, is that clear?
Yeah.
Okay. Tell me who was not in an exercise with whom yet, because I forgot.
I was not with Ginyap.
Okay. And Karen, have you been with Charlotte?
No, I haven't.
Very
Not
good. So
yet.
that's what we do. Okay. So we have maybe not 5 minutes. Maybe we make it. It is a little bit. You need more time because you know your mother and father, and now you don't know your answer. So I would like you to take more time. But let's say 3 minutes each turn. Yeah. So I will send you a swap message after 3 minutes. All right. Okay. So. Okay. Yes. Right. So let's see where the other team is. So we can share. Oh, where are they?
It did say another 56 minutes, seconds, so they may just be taking up their time.
Yeah.
True. How was it with you guys? This exercise.
Very
found,
different from. It's very different from the exercise yesterday. It's very, very different.
Interesting.
Yeah, I found it very different too.
Yeah. And how so? Can you express that? Like Koini, can you start? How was it different?
Yeah, sure. I started off as Karen's ancestor. I feel that I'm appeased. There is also a sense of tranquility. I feel a lot of love, but too much love. I don't know what to do with the love. I try to grab it, but then it just keep coming. Too much love.
Yeah.
So I think in the beginning I don't feel anything, and then she closed her eyes. I think she's trying to imagine or try to envision, and then I can feel this peace, and then a lot of love.
As an answer.
Yeah. I think the life. I think the ancestor is not having a very tough life, because it's like, oh, I'm at peace.
Yeah. Wonderful.
But when she acts as my ancestor, I can feel there's some toughness. It's very tough. The life is tough. There is some form of suffering or grievances that's not expressed.
Yeah.
That's what I feel.
Very good. Excellent. Excellent. What do you make out of that for yourself? Did you have the impression that your ancestor can give you blessings or not?
No, because they are in the state of lack.
See, and
I think Karen, yes, her ancestor is in the state of abundance.
See, and now isn't that brilliant how Koini can express exactly what I just taught in one sitting, in 1 3-minute exercise? That's exactly what it is. Her ancestor has an entanglement. Karen's ancestor has not. This is how.
Because I can feel there is some form of sensation in my chest, just behind my sternum.
Yeah. Exactly.
When Karen played as my ancestor.
See?
Yeah, I think I get what you mean.
So that will definitely come up in a family constellation. Wonderful. Thank you so much for sharing. That was really profound.
Thank you.
Karen, how did you experience that?
I experienced that was so different to the parents. I felt as an ancestor so much further removed and more structured. I felt like a structure, and one of the things that I thought was like, it was weird. Like I thought, like if our parents were a house, the ancestor was a castle. It was so much bigger,
yeah,
but it was so much more structured and so much kind of further back. And I thought that was a really weird analogy that came up.
And rigid, so, a castle is like rigid. And
yeah, more rigid, more structured, more further back, but not, just a different energy. I was surprised at the different energy that it was for me with that, and it wasn't necessarily soft or nurturing. It was just had more structure and more just as a willingness to give. I thought for me there was a willingness to be giving, but it was such a different way of giving, and I was a little bit unsure of what that felt like.
So you are representing Coyne's ancestor.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what she said, that she felt that there was not this blessing able.
I felt like there was, for me, it felt like there was a blessing able, but I was just intrigued that it was just so, it wasn't a flowing, it didn't feel like a heartfelt blessing.
And then it's not a blessing.
There's a lot, okay,
Yeah.
then it wasn't, it was just this
exactly
structure.
Yeah, yeah. So that's exactly the same observation.
The thing is very rigid. You try to give, but it's just not flowing.
No, it is. And this is why there is a block.
Yeah.
So there's a block from the ancestor. Yeah.
Yeah. I also felt a block when I was trying to receive from my ancestor as well. And in fact, and I did at one stage, I did, actually honor and respect the ancestor to ask for blessings. And I felt love flowing my way. Yeah. But I found it difficult to maintain the receiving of it. And I wasn't sure whether that was as a result of me. I had to kind of keep on trying to open up to access that.
Yeah.
And keep inviting it in.
This is exactly what I feel. But there's a lot of love coming, but I don't know how to handle.
Yeah.
There's no capacity to handle the love, the energy. It's just too much.
Yeah, very good. Very good. Thank you for sharing. That was awesome. Thank you. Okay, Kerstin and Charlotte. Who wants to start?
Well, I found it interesting when Charlotte envisioned her ancestor. There was a lot of hardship there. There was quite a life going, but there was not what I felt was the blessings were not coming. The life was really hard. It was really hard. It was a funny life, like it was a lively life, but it was a hard life. And there was a grumpiness, an unwillingness, like, no, I'm not giving you my blessings.
Oh, okay.
Just on principle, or this is how it felt. Yeah. And I found it envision my own ancestors, and they were different. I had different. I felt like different people were coming through.
Oh, yeah.
The last, there was one really hardworking woman. Then there was a wee bit of a man in the background, but I couldn't quite grasp it. And then the last one was a woman foraging through the forest. And she was looking up, and I felt like she was saying, yeah, go ahead. Just, yes, you're good to go. I give you my blessings. You can go. Yeah, I'm happy. But so they were different ones. It was not so easy. And the last one only came in the last minute or in the last moment.
How interesting, eh? Very interesting.
And the thing is, I had to grab quite a bit, because I know a lot of I can go back to a great-grandfather, which I have a really clear vision. So I had to go quite out
of that. Wonderful. That's very profound.
Yeah, so I could feel my mother on my mother's side, my grandmother on my mother's side, very clearly as she came through at the beginning. And that's interesting, because that's where I've got...
Hang on, who is this grandmother? Your grandmother or your mother's grandmother?
My grandmother.
She's not an ancestor.
My grandmother.
Oh.
Oh yeah, she's my grandparent. Yeah.
So what happened then?
It just felt really, yeah, as Kirsten described, grumpiness, not able to give that blessing. Yeah, like there's a block there, and it kind of popped into my brain. There's a block with my mum at the moment about the flow of love, and that grandmother was not able to love my mother, so it's just like funky flows of love. And when I was representing Kirsten's grand ancestors, so what you described made a bit of sense to me in terms of they don't feel that present. I don't feel like it was a total present blessing. And you're right, there was a thing at the end where I could feel that, but all the way through, apart from that last bit, there was like a struggle to be present. Not me, but the situation. It was like there were distance. They were here, not here. They were like, we're over here. And it was only that last bit that came in that was like, I'm here, only for a glimpse and then gone, you know? They were like on the periphery, it felt like.
And then the last bit, you could feel what she felt, the connection.
Yeah, there was a
Blessing.
connection at the end, definitely.
Wonderful, beautiful. Now thank you for sharing. This is wonderful to hear. Not only how you met your ancestor, like what a gift it is to feel like an ancestor. When do we get that gift? To start with, and no matter what they feel, and also to show you, because of the feedback in this exercise, which you normally don't get in a workshop, how precise the informations from the morphogenetic field are. So they are coherent, right? When you talk about representing an ancestor, and then your partner talks about how they perceive the ancestor as very, very alike, energetically alike, which is great. Very good. Okay, so we take our break now. It is as the easiest to it now. And remember, after the break, we will bring in your partners or your ex-partners. Yeah, so have a photo ready. I have received one email from Kerstin already. If you want to send me an email, do that now, and then I can share that. Yeah, or otherwise you just show it on the screen. Okay, so 10 minutes. Let's say we meet at 5 minutes past half. 6 in New Zealand, half 2, I think, in Malaysia. Bye. See you soon. So now we want to meet your partners or ex-partners or future potential partners, whatever comes to your mind, who you want to share. Who wants to start? How about Kirsten? Because I just got your father up here. Can you see him?
Yeah. Yes. That's my husband.
Yeah. What am I saying? Your husband, right? Yeah. Here we go.
I did wonder what was happening.
Yeah. Brain freeze. Okay. All right. Tell us about your husband.
Yeah. He can be quite funny. He can be very lovely. He can also be quite awful. So I actually think this is the reason why I'm here.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, he just just last week he actually collapsed, and that was what made me finally really sit down, and I felt like there's too much pressure on him, and I want to step up a little bit as well, in whichever way, either then later on financially or for myself to suss out what's going on.
So tell us a bit, when and where did you meet? How long are you together?
We're married 25 years. We just had silver wedding last year, and we met in Germany. I was waitressing and he was a customer. So we have met once before, and then he sort of not stalked me, but he found out where I was working. So yeah, and then it didn't take long, and it just we just went oof, and it hit. So yep.
And then you moved to New Zealand together?
Yeah, 2001 or 2000. Now 2001 we moved to New Zealand. Yeah. And we have one son together. He was born 2005.
Well, whose idea was it to move to New Zealand? His or yours?
My one.
And how was
Was
he
my
about that?
one. Pardon?
And how did he feel about that?
Yeah, it was okay for him. I think I feel we both feel it was a good move now.
Very good. What are you worried about with your husband?
Can't answer at the moment.
Right.
The health, his health, and too much pressure. I've lost my job, my business, pretty much, not quite completely, but yeah, it's a lot of pressure for him at the moment.
Right. Thank you very much to introduce us to Willy. Willy from Wilhelm, I think.
That's right. Yeah.
So it's nice to have him here with us. Thank you. Who wants to go next?
I'll go. I don't have a partner at the moment, but my last partner, who I don't really want to bring in.
Yes, you do. If it's
No,
a
I don't.
significant partner, or was it just a fling?
Significant partner.
Yeah. Okay.
He's called Pete.
Oh yeah. Okay. Very good. Where is it? It's New Zealand.
Yeah. He's a Kiwi, and I'm a British person. Yeah.
What's his name?
Pete. We were together for a couple of years, and there was a lot of love. I think there was a lot of spiritual connection, which is why I was attracted in the first place. And he's a really patient listener who wants to hear what you have to say, which is really nice. So that's what I first was attracted to. I thought I could be seen, but then as the relationship progressed, I realized what felt like what was happening was the shiny version of me was seen at the beginning, and that's what he wanted to see. And then when he realized that I was a human with all sorts of layers and other things, not just shiny, he didn't really want to see that as much. So I found he actually couldn't see me. He saw me less and less as we went on. And that was kind of hilarious. And I felt like it was I felt trapped by him, only wanting to hold one version of me. So I still see him around now. I find him quite patronizing. I don't like who I am when I'm with him now, which is snappy and stressed. And we didn't speak for a long time after we stopped seeing each other. And now he's moved. Well, he is in Christchurch now as well. But he's just sort of moving into the space that I'm, not the house, but the field that I'm in. We've got mutual friends, so I still see him, and the circles are getting closer and closer again. We did have mutual friends before, but not so many. And now we're running weirdly more in the same circles. And I don't miss being close to him. I don't want to be close to him. I feel like I've left that part and I just want to crack on. I feel like we're on different wavelengths and I'm not interested really in I have a chit chat. That's fine. But I think he was looking for something not human. Like, I think he always wanted me to be this like shiny version, and I wanted him to be more present on Earth, and we're mismatched in the middle.
Who
That's
broke up?
life. Me with him.
Mm-hmm.
And it was pretty sad and traumatic, and I felt like it brought up lots of trauma wounds for me, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that's it really. Like, it's when I see him, like I saw him on Friday actually, and I don't feel like angry. It's not about that. It's not about what happened that I feel angry about. I don't feel angry. I just feel like, hi, bye. There's nothing there. I don't want to give anything. I don't want to receive anything. It's finished.
How did
But
he
if I
feel
see him
about
around,
the breaking up?
how does he feel? Like, I don't think he really cared. Like, I don't think it affected him. I think he like was happy to stop, but he like gave me space at the beginning, and now he wants to be in my life now, but I don't want him to be in my life in any way, really.
Okay.
Mm.
Very good. Thank you so much for sharing. Who's next?
I can go.
Yes.
This has to be a partner that has significant influence, isn't it?
Yeah. Either the
Uh,
length of time you spend together or the intensity.
This is it. Can you see?
Yes.
Okay. But it's not a
Show it
man.
again,
It's a
Karen.
lady.
Yeah. Karen hasn't seen it. Yeah.
Okay. It's a lady, but before her, it's all men.
Okay.
But the lesson that I learned from this relationship is so profound.
Okay.
So I think that happened 8 years ago, and I don't have any partner after her. And it's not because I still have feelings for her. That's not
What's her
that's not the
name?
thing. Becca.
Beha.
Yeah, Becca. We met because we work on the same project. We represent our companies respectively. That was 8 years ago. So so we work on the same project, and then we find that we are like-minded. She is very intelligent. We have similar backgrounds. She's also an engineer. She runs consultancy company in Malaysia. It is a Singapore-based company, but she is responsible for the Malaysia operation. So she has certain say in certain way. I admire her. She's very intelligent. I was pretty young 8 years ago. So I learned so much from her, and then that's how it got started. As we move along, I found that I don't have a say in that relationship. She is very dominant. She tends to overpower. She wants to control every damn thing. She wants to mold me into the person that she wants.
And then?
So, and then I struggle. If I don't obey. I think what she looks for is obedience. If I don't obey, that's where the argument will come.
And then?
And then we broke up.
Who broke up?
It is me. It's me. But the lesson that I learned from that relationship, I think I'm if I look back in retrospect, I'm not too sure whether that is love or attachment.
What lesson
I
did you learn? Can you put that in words?
It's probably, well, if you ask me then, I say I fall for her, it's because there's this element of love. But if I look back now in retrospect, it's probably attachment. I need some form of approval from someone to say I'm doing the right things, that you put me in the right frame. You get what I mean?
Yeah.
I didn't get that from my parents. My mother is not, I mean, she's not in that position. Probably I feel more superior to my mom. She's not highly educated. She depends on me. So my father is not present. So now I can see the absence of my father has a profound impact in my relationship. So I think it's some kind of attachment that attracts me, that makes me attracted to that relationship. It may not be true love.
And why did you not have another relationship after her? Do you know?
I didn't meet anyone. I didn't meet anyone that I think it is a potential partner.
Very good. How are you feeling now?
On the relationship, you mean?
In general.
In general. I'm okay. I'm at peace. Sometimes a bit lonely. I hope I can meet someone. I mean, there's no anger, there's no resentment. It just, but I just want to thank her, because that journey helps me discover myself in certain way.
Yeah. Beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing her, bringing her into our circle today.
Yeah, I know this is a safe space, and actually no one knows. Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Or was it a secret relationship? Did you keep it secret?
This is Malaysia. I mean, this is not the States or the UK. So it's not easy. I mean, if we were to continue, it's not going to be an easy relationship. I'm sure you get what I mean.
Sure. Right. Well, I'm sure we're gonna meet her again during the next 1.5 years. In the one or the other family constellation. Not in person, in spirit.
Okay.
So, not in person.
I mean, even I have had enough. Even the energy is, I mean, I have had enough.
Very good. Thank you for sharing. Thank you. Karen?
Okay, lucky last. Let me share screen.
Yeah. Are you still able to? I just have a look. Let me just check. Yeah, one participant. Now.
Thank you.
No, hang on. I do it again. Yeah.
Okay. All righty then. Can we see that?
Yes.
This is my husband, or actually ex-husband, Calvin or Kelly. We had been together 33 years, and 5 months ago he left me. Clearly I'm still struggling with it. It was a bit of a surprise to me, and there have been a lot of changes in my life from that, which I've had a lot of trouble adjusting to. And there's been a lot of grieving for me. However, we have had we have 3 beautiful children, and we've had a somewhat chaotic life together. When I look back, there's been a lot of sort of chaos as a result of Cal's patterning and also my patterning. And we had a very much a whirlwind romance, and we were never really going to, it was meant to be a fling, and we ended up I ended up being pregnant within a month, and we ended up, you know, spending 33 years together and having a lot of adventures and a lot of fun and a lot of intimacy. You know, like we have been each other's best friends, really. And now we are trying to work out disentangling. I think Calvin is probably years ahead of me. And so it's just a matter, we're trying to work through what that means. And I'm particularly trying to work through what that means. How do you, when we were breaking up, I said to Cal, look, I'll love him. I wanted to love him into his new life, but it's looking, I think I have a lot of idealism, so I'm still trying to work out what this means. What does a breakup mean? How does it look? How can it happen with love, I guess, but that's becoming increasingly difficult. So I don't know. We're just still sort of early into it. So it's been 4 months now. I moved out. I've been living in other accommodation for probably 2 months, and now Calvin's also moved into his own apartment today. So so we've vacated the house that we were in, and it's just more and more steps away. The ripple effect through the family has been really traumatic for me, through our children. But that said, I'm only talking about the last 5 months, and before that, lots of fun and lots of chaos. So what I take away from my relationship with Cal, and what I always took away even when I was with him, I used to think of us as a dance, and I always did have that analogy. And we had lots of different dances, like we had adventures and fun and lovers dances, and we also did the dark dance that I think you really only can do to bring out your shadow side when you're with someone that you are most intimate with and that you trust enough to allow that side of yourself to come out. And I didn't regret our dark dances, and I actually relished them, although I did not want to repeat them or go and do them again. But I think in hindsight, Calvin carries guilt and trauma from those incidents that we, you know, when you do look at the yuck in you and you bring it up for looking at and bring it up for it to come out. So he has now decided that his journey is on his own, and I totally can tautoko that. I can acknowledge and support that for him when I sit in a place of presence and love for him, and grieve my loss at the same time, which is kind of this dichotomy that I'm working through. So that's that.
Thank you for sharing, Karen. I'm sure it is not a coincidence that you are on this training at this point in your time.
I am too.
Yeah. I will give you a lot.
I think so. It already has, actually, the last 2 nights. And it's interesting when we're talking about, you know, like the personality or the societal versus the soul movement. And I'm looking forward to learning more about that.
Yes. So thank you so much for bringing all your partners and ex-partners into. Ex-partners are never really ex. If they were significant, that is very likely that there's still a dynamic, something still moving, something is still in movement, and family constellation is a brilliant tool to, you know, to see, to help this movement to either move on or come to an end. It's very, very helpful. Yeah, so saying that, we go through a little bit of theory, and then we have a practical, another little exercise. Let me share my slides with you while we're talking about relationships. So we call it romantic relationship. The reality is they are not very often romantic. I always have to laugh about that, but you know, we have to use a term. So we are talking mainly about romantic relationships, meaning that there is some love involved and normally sex as well. So we have introduced your partner, brilliant. Now we will look at the situation in a partnership in the light of the third order of love, the order of balance, or balancing, giving and taking. So in a romantic, let's say relationship, in a relationship, everyone is equal, right? We don't have this flow again. Now we have the lake situation. It doesn't matter if one is supporting the animal, what am I saying? If one is supporting the partnership with more, like more money or more effort or anything like that, or if one of the partners is much older than the other, could be the father, even the grandfather of a woman, or something like that, or vice versa. That does not matter. In general, in a romantic relationship, partners are equal. They are equal on a soul level. Yeah, that's where the balance needs to sit. The balance needs to not sit here or there. It has to equalize. So giving and taking has to be balanced. Each partner equally gives and receives. Right? That's important. Equally doesn't mean like you have to measure it, but it needs to feel right. Right? Because everybody gives individually and everybody receives it in a different way, right? So it's not even necessary that what the partner gives is received in the same way. That is not needed, neither. That's not what we're talking about. It needs to feel balanced for both. Yeah. Just to put it out there, because I often been asked that money is also giving and receiving. It's just energy. It's nothing bad or nothing good, right? So in certain circumstances in romantic relationship, yes, money can balance something out if nothing else is there. What else can be given and received in relationships? That's the question. Let's openly discuss it. If you want to unmute everybody and just throw it out there. What do you think? What can be given and received in relationships?
Emotional support.
Yep.
Time, presence.
Time. Very good. Presence. Yes.
Understanding.
Yes.
Comfort.
Comfort. Yeah. What else?
Romantic love.
Yeah.
Care.
Sorry?
Care. Caring.
Care. Yes, yes. There can be some care element of caring. Yeah. Absolutely.
You know, gifts or acts of service to each other.
Yeah. How about flowers?
Yeah.
Presence.
Presents.
Fairness.
What?
Fairness.
Ah, fairness. You can give and receive fairness.
Yes.
Interesting.
I would say.
Okay.
Experiences, fun,
Yes.
adventures.
Yes.
Safety.
Yes. What else?
Growth. Grow together.
Yeah. Yes. Yes. One can help the other to grow. Yeah.
Encouragement, safety, freedom.
Yeah. Stability, safety. Yeah. Ooh, freedom. That's a great one.
Structure.
Structure.
Happiness.
Happiness. Yes. Very good. So lots and lots and lots of things can be given and received in a relationship, right? We can agree on that. Practically not limited. So now, where does the problem come in? The problem come in when there is a judgment about what the other is giving, right? So that is actually similar to judgment to the parents. It's not accepting the gift, whatever it is, the giving, whatever it is, as is, right? There's something wrong with it. It's not exactly how you want it, or it's not enough, or it's not, or it's too much, or it doesn't have the right color, or it doesn't come at the right time, or any kind of judgment makes receiving impossible, right? It's like closing the heart. Yes, you can take a gift, and you might say, "Thank you, honey, that's really nice of you," but you think, "Oh, for goodness sake, he knows exactly I hate this color." Yeah? Then you're closing the heart, and it is not received, right? So in the energy field, or in the orders in the third order of love, this is not receiving. Receiving is with an open heart, wholeheartedly, whatever you get as is. And now we have a lot of things we discovered that can be given and received, and a lot can go wrong with it because a lot can be judged. Even things that are good, for example, like let's say care, he's caring, the partner is caring for you. You might not be in the mindset. You are busy with something, or you are just on a path where you want more freedom, and then you think, "Oh, can you not get out of my way?" So that is also judgment. Yeah, and judgment is what is a culprit that leads to breakup in a relationship most often. If it's not coming to an end because the destined time has ended, the destiny has been achieved. We talked about that yesterday. That's another case. In this case, both parts equally happy about parting, but most often one is more happy than the other about a breaking up. And that is when you feel there is some imbalance in giving and receiving in the relationship that has been established over the years. So let's look at the common problems in relationship. The common problem is one is giving too much, and or the other one is not receiving. So for example, giving too much is also equal like giving unrealistically. Yeah? I love you forever. How can that be balanced? What can the other give to balance that out? It's very difficult. Especially because what has an end, a beginning has an end. Because the love we are talking about, we're not talking about the unconditional love, we're talking about the romantic love, which is always conditioned. It's always conditional, it's always time involved, it is always attached to circumstances. Yeah, it's also circumstances. It's very rare that a partnership drives on unconditional love, right? That's not common. And somebody mentioned the word attachment. Who was that? Koini, I think it was you. You said you felt it's not love, it's attachment. All romantic relationship, love is attachment. That is absolutely clear. That's a very good observation, which is fine because it's designed like that. If you wouldn't feel attachment, you would never come together and go through this ordeal to pregnancy and giving birth to children and sticking together to give the children. You need to be attached to the others to do that, because unconditional love is letting them do whatever they do. Unconditional love is not the base of a relationship.
But there must be an element of love, doesn't it? If it's just attachment, then it will be used as a weapon from the other party just to do just to get you to do whatever they want.
And that's what we do. Unconsciously, subconsciously, that's what we do. And I say again, that is fine. As long as it's balanced, the relationship will work and will exactly provide that, what a relationship provides. Because a relationship is not all you are, right? It's just a part of you. And you are so much more. If you can leave the relationship where it belongs and go ahead with your own life and still make sure the relationship is stable by balancing out giving and receiving, and assume the partner does the same, that is the happiest relationship, isn't it? Because there is no imbalance. But also, it's not the focus on the relationship. Because from your perspective, you as a whole beingness that you are, the relationship is just a very small part, right? If we don't make it our whole life, which is not very healthy, of course, right? And this part that we are setting aside from our whole beingness, right, to be involved in the relationship, that only works through attachment. So there is it's not a bad word, attachment, as such, as long as it is balanced between the partners. If one is more attached than the other, that's unbalanced, and that causes problems. So if you are giving, like somebody's very attached and said, I love you forever and please stay with me forever, and you know already, how can that be balanced? There is no forever love. It is a relationship. It has a beginning and it has an end. It is just what it is.
Also, when people want to receive unrealistically.
Yeah, for example, give me an example.
Well, someone's like, we want, well, just the unrealistic expectations of the other person. I want to receive everything from you, all your time, all your energy.
Yeah.
I don't have other friends. You know, that's it. Just becomes not
because
about
you can't give it, right? Because
yeah.
you can't give it, and then you cannot balance it. So this wanting to receive cannot be fulfilled. It cannot be balanced. Yeah, that's equally problematic in a relationship. So let's assume there is an imbalance in a relationship. Who do you think is leaving an unbalanced relationship? The one who cannot give or the one who cannot receive?
The one who can't give.
I love that.
The one who can't receive.
Okay, hands up. Who said the one who cannot give? Charlotte. And who is for the one who cannot receive is leaving the relationship? 1, 2. And Karen has no opinion. Good. So, well, we have a 2-1 vote. So,
I'll go for can't give as well.
So we have a, then you don't count because you're neutral. You're the Switzerland here. So, so we have 2 for who cannot receive and 1 for who cannot give. Now, if we think about it, if one is giving and giving and giving, yeah? You know how happy it makes you to give, right? I mean, we all know that. Giving is not only because it's in the Bible somewhere and in other spiritual teachings, but it is you feel it. If you are able to give, you feel good, right? But if you are wanting to give and you give and you give and you give, and there's somebody who cannot receive, for you, it's not such a big problem because you still do what you love. You give, you know? But the one who cannot receive is not nourished at all. And yes, normally the one who cannot receive is leaving the relationship, not the one who's giving. That's kind of a rule of thumb. And you might ponder on it, on your past relationship with that. That might be something you have also experienced for yourself. Yeah. So this is the importance of balancing giving and receiving. if you want to keep the relationship. And sometimes you can't help it, because if the one who cannot receive is your partner, the only thing you can stop is stop giving. Yes, Karen.
That's interesting, Maya, because I remember before we broke up, like probably 6 months beforehand, and I wondered for a long time. I kept having this idea that Calvin was my muse, and the fact that I felt delight from him, and I kept wondering where it sat within a relationship, because I had this idea that I was giving him love actually for the sheer pleasure of just giving him love, and I wondered about that, and I was wondering about the reciprocity of it, and I kept on thinking, this is like he's my muse. It doesn't matter how or why he receives it. It's actually, it was actually me giving love that activated a feeling of love within me, which gave me joy. So I continued to do so.
Yeah. And what happened?
He left me.
Now the result, Karen, shows you that he couldn't receive it.
Yes.
Just by the result, you know that. So his heart is closed.
And I probably already knew it by the fact that I was thinking of him as my muse, as that it was irrespective of what he did with it. I already felt he wasn't receiving it. And so yes, that awareness was already there in hindsight.
So now you know it. This is following to the T, the third order of love, the dynamic in your relationship. And there's absolutely nothing you can do other than stop giving. But this is not what you want, right?
No, because I still like the feeling of giving. I'm attached.
Exactly.
I'm attached to the feeling of giving, and whenever I stop giving, I guess the feeling of giving, it makes me feel good. So I'm attached to that. But yes, stop giving, give somewhere else. Not in a romantic, place, but give to myself. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, that sounds good. Yeah. Yeah. Very good. Very good. Thank you for sharing. Anybody else has some thoughts on that or some experience? Or you can just let it settle in. Kerstin.
Would there, so I just wonder, from a facilitating point of view, then, if someone is not receiving, then there must be a blockage then here.
Yes, exactly.
So, but if they don't want to look at it, there's nothing you can do about it, apart from not giving someone.
Yeah, depends. So let's take a concrete example. You have a client. She's in a relationship. She's not sure about the relationship. Some problems there. Yeah. Then in a family constellation setting, you would ask the client to choose a representative for herself and her partner, just to start with. I mean, I would start like this, simple, like small. And then you would see the dynamic of them two, and you would see we learn all this in module 3, I think it is, or 2, about gestures. And you see in the representative that he is not able to receive, right? Now, think about the client who belongs to the family system. Does the parents of the partner belong to her family system? The parents of her partner. How? Remember the parents, not him. Remember the first order of love.
Isn't it through destiny?
The partner, yes, but the parents of the partner?
Not. Okay. No, they're not.
Just because one individual belongs to a family system doesn't mean he can drag in his whole family system into the other, right? It's only one. So, if you as a facilitator, you see that this receiving for the partner is not possible, right? Then I know facilitator who then facilitate the whole family of the partner. Because they think, oh, the problem is on his side, we're going to fix it. There's a mother issue, there's a father issue, whatever, right? What do you think is the outcome of this? Nothing.
And nothing for the
Exactly, nothing.
client, because it doesn't
Nothing
belong
for
to
the client. Exactly.
Yeah.
Thank you, Kerstin. You might think, oh, great, maybe the client feels good about it because of the observation, in the hope that something has changed for her partner and she get it, she get the connection back. But that's not how it works. It is not how it works. She will go home, she will be full of joy about all the hope she has got from the family constellation. Her partner will be interested because she has changed, and she thinks, oh, it's working. And then after 3 months, they are separated. And then she thinks, oh my gosh, why that? Right? Because in the family constellation, no soul movement has been taken place. It was a game of figures, family sculpturing, or however you want to call that. Yeah? Because the whole family of the partner doesn't belong to her system. Yeah? And there's nothing she can do.
But
that
that
is like
would
voodoo.
change.
Like voodoo, you can pick somebody and then you friggle around with their family system. That's not family constellation. It doesn't work. Yeah, you go, Kerstin.
So, but if you are then married and you have kids together and you have formed your own family system, and then you would have the same issue with a married couple, but then surely that changes, or?
Think
Because
about it.
then
You know your
your
answer. You know the answer already. You know the answer already from the first 2 parts of this module. Who knows the answer?
So they belong.
We are
So
talking
they
about the parents
belong then there.
of the husband. The parents of the husband, right?
The husband and the
Yeah.
children belong to the parents of the husband, but the wife doesn't.
Very good. Very good, Karen. So what is the solution here? What is the solution? There is a solution. The mother can consolate for her children. Remember? So if she feels like one of the children is suffering from the unbalanced relationship of her parents, she can, as a surrogate, consolate for her child. And from the perspective of her child, the parents of the father belong to her family system, the child's family system. Right?
So what do you mean by the mother can, because that's new to me. I haven't heard that before. That so who can constellate for someone else? A mother
Only
can
the mother.
constellate for their own. Okay.
Maybe the father. That happens not very often, but it can be the father, but nobody else can consolate for somebody else.
Okay.
Right? So then we are going 1 generation forward, right? And then the child is the first generation, the mother is, and the father the second generation, and now the parents of the father are 3rd generation grandparents. So this is a workaround, but the field, you cannot trick the field. It only works when the child has really an issue with it, right? And to consolate for the child may also brings up a completely different dynamic that has nothing to do with the parents of the father, right? And that is a really good example, and I'm glad that came up so I can bring that up immediately in the beginning of your journey, that you're not going astray with family constellation, as many do. Yeah? Because if you know the logic behind it, if you know the 3 orders of love, that is your rock. That is your, what can it be? Your foundation. That is where you build everything on. Everything. Otherwise, it will fall down. You cannot
Yeah.
build on the side of it. Hmm? Yeah?
Yeah.
Very good. Very good. So, there's something very lovely that I learned from Bert Helling. I never looked at it that way, but he explained it like this. If you want to let the love in a romantic relationship grow, right? Meaning, aka attachment, because unconditional love cannot grow. It's there as is. So if you want to be more attached to your partner in a good way, then you are balancing in the good. Meaning, example, your partner brings you flowers. You are balancing that out by baking a cake for him, his favorite cake, which is probably more worth time-wise than buying flowers. Yeah. So this is how the love grows. Then your partner receives that, and he wants to balance it out and give something more. He invites you to go to the theater. Maybe a theater even that he doesn't like, but he knows you like. Right? And so it's like piling up like blocks. So the love can grow up. Yeah? Because everybody is balancing not exactly out what they get, but they put a little bit more onto it. Yeah. And he calls that balancing in the good. Or balancing the good. I mean, obviously, he didn't say that in English to me. He was speaking German. Yeah. Now, but there's also balancing in the bad. And unfortunately, that's what happened most often in relationship. Right? So somebody is giving something bad. Let's say the partner is flirting with another girl going out, and you witness that or whatnot, and you think, oh, I show him, I've got this whatever tennis coach there, and I'm whatever, I have sex with them, so that's balancing in the bad, right? You hurt somebody and then you want to hurt them more. And then obviously, if that continues to do so, obviously you can see the picture, the relationship is not growing. The opposite is the case. The relationship will decline until there is nothing left. So if we would always be so conscious about who's giving what and what is received and how can that be balanced, then and now you know why a true relationship is hard work to keep track of all of this. Yeah, but some relationships are worth it and others not. Yeah, to put that time and effort. Now, we are not only talking about how we deal with relationships, maybe in the future with this knowledge and to experience it, but we are also looking at relationships in a family constellation, right? So how do we balance, or how do we, if there is an unbalance, if we see an unbalance in the relationship, how is it balanced in the family constellation? We balance it in the family constellation with words. With words. And next module will all be about the words. Yeah. What words we need to balance to allow the relationship to balance. Again, that is not a made-up thing. That's not voodoo. We are not just letting them say words and everything is fine and rosy and rosy clouds in the sky. We are testing if the partner is able to say it. Right? And often in a romantic relationship, obviously, the client is coming because there is a problem. Chances that the relationship is already over are very high. Because nobody comes to the family constellation who's happy in the relationship and wants to look at the relationship, right? That happens very rarely. So chances that there is no way to balance it out are high. In this case, the constellation is meant to bring the relationship to a good closure in a way that it doesn't leave an imbalance for the next one, because that's what they do. if a relationship is ended in a not balanced way, the next relationship is kind of taking it up from there. So it starts already with this burden. And in family constellation, this is why ex-partners are part of the system. You see that all the time. There is the ex-partner, is still around in a family. Either the client's ones or the ones of the partner, right? Still around. And even sometimes entangled with a child. That has such an imprint on the family system if you leave a relationship unbalanced. Good news is there's absolutely no problem in a family constellation to let that come to a balance and to an end. And that's also quite a constellation that happens quite often. Yeah, that this is needed. So, having said that, now let's talk a little bit about forgiving versus forgetting. So you know how we use this word, I forgive you, or I want forgiveness, or I will never forgive him. This comes easy, right? It's kind of something we hear and we learn. But what does it really mean? We have to look at it. Is this a balance? Is this adding to the balance? Or is it making it even more unbalanced, the relationship? Tell me what you think.
I can't tell you what I think, but I know what comes to mind is I've ran away from home when I was 19 years old, and my parents, of course, were in complete upheaval. And when we started to come to talking terms again, my dad said to me once, I can forgive you, but I cannot forget it.
And how did that feel for you?
Pardon?
How did that
How did
feel
it?
for you?
I felt pretty bad because I knew he was really suffering, but I do have to say I do understand and I can accept it.
So you didn't feel better when he said that?
No, no.
Exactly. And that's a fantastic example that forgiving doesn't work without forgetting. Because the true forgiving is equal as forgetting. As if it has never happened. That is forgiving. Everything else is not balanced. It is coming from here. I forgive you means I have the means to take away or give you suffering. Right? So that is there is not a balance when you look at relationship, when one is in this state of wanting to forgive, not your father, but one in a relationship says, I forgive you, but I don't forget you. That's not forgiving. There's nothing. Right? So then the question is, how do you forget? And I can tell you from my own experience and from constellations I have facilitated and I was present in, you can't forget it. It is if it's your intention, right? If that is your intention, you can't forget it. And in a while, you really wouldn't think of it anymore. It's gone. But you need to want it. You need to want it. And it's not like it's so hard to think about it. I'm just not thinking about it. I just stored it somewhere in my subconsciousness. That's not forgetting, right? Forgetting is that it has not happened. And it's a matter of intent and practice and knowing that that's the only way to balance either a relationship or an ex-relationship. Because just forgetting gives you freedom. Forgiving without forgetting doesn't give freedom. The freedom either to stay or the freedom to leave or the freedom to enter in a new relationship. That's the crucial part. Yes, you go, Kano?
Oh yeah. Do you mean forgiving and forgetting? Do you mean when if you really come across that event, it doesn't bring any emotional charge, you are not disturbed?
Yeah, it's like, yeah. So let's make an example. Is there anything anybody can think of that is dwelling in the mind where you think you need to forgive somebody? Anything like that? So we have an example.
Like my ex-partner, I'm not disturbed.
Is there anything you want to forgive?
No.
No. Anybody else?
We stop seeing. I'm not disturbed. We stop seeing each other.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no part of me that wants her anymore.
Yeah.
Okay, I thought I'd forgiven my husband for affairs or an affair, and kind of light, not really, but interludes. But I never forgot.
Yeah.
So therefore, let's use that as an example, because I thought I had forgiven, but actually I never forgot.
Yeah.
And that was something that he used to say quite frequently. He would bring up.
Yes. So that's a very common example, of course. Like, and I forgive you, you're cheating. Yeah, it doesn't work when we're not forgetting. Forgetting means you look at him and you don't see him cheating. Like, it's not there. It's just not in the energy field. It's not in, you don't even think about it. You can sleep with a partner and you don't think, not for 1 second, oh my gosh, he has done that with somebody else.
Yeah, no, I think I did get to that though, Maya. I think I did.
Well, then you have forgotten it, no?
Oh, okay. Yeah, because I think I did get to that. And it wasn't in the energy field. I didn't think that was really, I didn't expect it to happen again. Or, I wasn't predicting it, or it wasn't sort of there.
So are you saying you have you have done it the first time and then it came back on you?
Well, in this situation, there was an affair, and I forgave, and I never said I forgot, but I forgave, but I never ever expected another affair. I didn't think that was part. I understood the surrounding circumstances, and I never thought that was part of my husband's makeup. I really genuinely believed there wouldn't be another affair. So it really wasn't an issue for me. But sometimes I would bring it up in discussion around other things, and he would be upset because he would say that I haven't forgotten. He felt like I was blaming him.
But then you haven't forgotten because you bring it up. That's true.
Yeah.
Because you wouldn't think about it. It would not be there. You wouldn't use it in an argument. You wouldn't. It's forgotten, as if it has never happened. And it is hard, but I'm just saying you can practice it. And I'm saying you can practice it not because you, how can I put it's because you want, your intention is it. You really want to forget. So you're not thinking, I want to forgive him. You think, I want to forget it. Because I want to be free. I want to be free. I don't want to think about it anymore. I don't want to see any of these situations when I see him or think of him or whatever. Or I see another relationship and then I think of it. Or I think a woman which might be a target of the partner cheating, and I wouldn't think of that. That is, and the most important part here is intention. Yeah, to release you from the burden, to set you free. Right? That's the point. That is how forgiving becomes forgetting, and then you are free from that. Yeah.
Yeah. So it takes us almost back to a state of innocence.
Yeah,
and a state of goodwill, and of expecting the best.
Exactly. And why is it so hard? Because exactly what you said, then it happens again, and you said, and felt like painful, and this was a wound, no? And then you kind of fix the wound, but it's stitches in there, and it's still, not really fixed, and then it breaks off again, and you are fearing that, and you think, oh, I don't want to have that again, so I rather keep it the surprise. So I rather keep it in my back of my mind. It can happen, so I'm prepared.
Mm.
All right. That's a subconscious, or sometimes even very conscious mechanism of the ego mind to avoid pain.
Mm.
Because it thinks it can avoid it by being prepared for it. But then you're obviously expecting, and then it will happen, because expectations form reality. Right.
Mm. Yeah.
So it's for
Yeah.
everyone a really journey deep down the rabbit hole to learn that.
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
So
Kerstin?
Could it help then to actually have a process before of like balancing the bed, but in a positive way? Like, say, for example, the partner has cheated, yeah? And then the next time you go out and you flirt with someone,
That's
you
a good
just
point.
don't go all the...
Yes, Kerstin, exactly that is what Bert Hellinger says. So you can balancing bad things also to let the love flourish by balancing it less bad. But then obviously the partner needs to do the same.
Yeah, I do understand it, but could that actually be the game, or not the game, but the doing before you come to the point where you can say, I can forget it now?
Yeah, so you can either say, okay, we come to a point I can forget, because we're balancing the bad out with lesser bad, right? Yes, because if it makes it easier. Or you can also say, I don't want to flirt. I don't want to flirt with a bartender. I don't want to go that road. I just want to forget. I want to be free of it. I want to forget it. So both ways, if they work, whatever is personal preference, would have the same result. Yeah.
Okay. Flirting with the bartender would be my thing to go.
Very good. See? Courtney? Sorry, did you raise a hand? I didn't see.
No.
No. Okay, right. Okay, so let's move on. What else is coming up? So then a word on intimacy. For those of you who have children may have noticed that the intimacy decreases with the firstborn child, is what Bert Hellinger says. But the relationship can expand into something greater than just intimacy. That is, possible. This is the way to stay in the relationship if both partners appreciate the widening of the relationship for the sacrifice of intimacy. That's a quote from Bert Hellinger. I give you that for tonight. Let's talk about transgender and same-sex relationships. Bert Hellinger, look, when he started in the 1980s, there was actually no such thing as transgender coming up, not that I'm aware of, in his workshops. And when same-sex relationships came up, then only because the client had a problem with it. Yeah? So the most common was, let's say a man was married and had children and was quite happy at home, but was discovered he was gay and was seeing a man and felt horrible about it. Yeah? And then he would come to a workshop, and then, they would look at it, and then they would see where the entanglement to help, eventually to help, so he's happy with his family and doesn't have the urge to see men, right? So this was kind of the status quo at that time. Now, the last 20 years were exploding with, with the opening of all kinds of sexual preferences, and we have little experience with if that changes anything about the teaching of the orders of love, the third order of love, if it's a same-sex relationship. I don't think so. I personally don't think so. But it would be interesting to see over time, yeah, if that is the case. I don't think there's any difference, especially not in balancing of giving and taking. However, when we're talking about transgender, that is different. Because for the family system, the gender one is born in is the gender it stays. Right? And we are working with genders because we are treating men and women and their energies different in a family constellation. Yeah. So if, let's say, a man decides to become a woman with 20 years or whatnot, yeah, it's a man in the family system, in a family constellation, it's a man. Yeah, it's not a woman. And of course, vice versa, the same, right? The only difference is when the client is a transgender and not somebody represented in the family system. When the and he's suffering, then this becomes the issue, right? And then you perform a. I have never had it. I would be very open to have a client who is suffering under transgenderism, but that might come. And then we see. As always, we have to look at phenomenologically, right? So we have to experience it before we really can form a rule. We have to experience it more often, and we will see. But what I want to give you as a take-home message is, in a family system, the gender one is born in is the gender for the family system. That's not changing. Because although there's a lot of suffering and there's a lot of soul-driven kind of destiny-felt urge in young people or older people to take on another sex and feel better in another sex, that's all well and good. That's not what we are talking about. We are not judging that. But in a family constellation, it is still the gender they were born in. Okay, Kerstin, you want to ask something?
Yeah, it's good that you bring that up, because I was actually thinking about that from last night onwards, how this is gonna go ahead in the future with all this
chaos,
craziness, chaos. Yeah, it's for me, it's chaos. You know, without being judgmental. It's not. I'm not judging, but it's just like I looked at it and I thought, oh my God, it's like, how is that gonna be?
Kerstin, this is mind-driven. It's mind-driven. Remember, in family constellations, we don't care about the mind. We just don't care. This is not what we're working with. This is not where we can help with. This is just not existing in a family constellation situation, right?
I do understand that, and I came to that point as well. But I just think there will be so much upheaval. There will be so much trauma coming. It's just that's what I feel. That's my feeling. Yeah.
Yeah. Might very well. So we're not running out of work. Ta-da! That's for sure. Definitely not running out of work. Okay, what else do I have? A relationship is only alive through giving and receiving. That's the other thing. If you think, oh, I avoid all these problems and we're just not giving and receiving, we are just partners, it doesn't exist, right? The relationship is, by definition, you relate to somebody else through giving and receiving. I would like you to think of a system. The members of a family system are captured within a boundary, and that is like a cell in your body. It has a membrane, right? That is kind of the boundary of your family system. And within this membrane, the family system by exchanging, right? Exchanging energies, giving and receiving, blessings here, thankfulness there, love from the mother, giving forward to the own children. So that's a constant exchange, right? Either giving or receiving. That's going on the whole time. And that is going on, you know this, as above, so below, in every single cell of the body. Yeah? There is a membrane, and within is a closed world, and there's a constant exchange of giving and receiving going on in one cell. Otherwise, the cell would be dead. And for the family system, it's the same. The family system would be. But it doesn't stop there. Now you have several family systems, like you have several cells, and they are forming a body. Now the cells are exchanging on another level all the time with each other, right? This is also the relationship that they are forming to get the body going. Otherwise, when the cells wouldn't exchange, the body would be dead. They wouldn't be there. It is formed by the exchange of giving and receiving through the membrane into the cell. And that's exactly the same with us. We have a family system, and the family systems are exchanging, giving, and receiving. And this is when you have this, through action or through destiny, an individual from one family system coming into the other. This is an exchange. So now you see it is important that this is happening. It's not tragedy. It's by design. It has to be. If the family system would be an enclosed system from blood-related people, let's say, and that would be all, right? It would be dead. It would. The family system would be not even existing without it. So that needs the exchange. So we need to have, by design, we need to have this destined relationships, or this actions that are, even if we think, why would we have traumatic? Why do we even want any traumatic experience? Why do we want any victims or perpetrator? Without it, it wouldn't exist. That's the reality. So there is not this peace that we are all in our family system with no exchange to other family systems, and now we are at peace and we made it. Yeah. This is a fantasy. This cannot work. So we are constantly exchanging, and we are constantly healing, and then new exchange happening, and then that would be, and then new exchange happening, new actions, new destiny. That is the way that we are guiding, or that we are observing, and that we are part of in exchanging, giving, and receiving in the small scale and in the grander scale. And if you're interested in this, again, read something from Bruce Lipton. It's really enlightening. He has so many insights with his work in cell biology. Amazing. Because as above, so below. The tiniest cell shows us how the universe works. It's always the same. It follows the same principles. So, that is a given. Everybody knows that a human can only be so long in solitary confinement, and so an animal, by the way. Yeah. At some stage, an exchange needs to happen. Otherwise, they literally die. I'm not quite sure. I don't have the figure here, but I think for human solitary confinement is, I don't know. I don't know. I make it up. It's probably 3 or 4 weeks. No. Without any exchange, nothing. They cannot survive. This is why it's also torture, right? Put somebody in solitary confinement for a few days or even a week. Yeah. If a system now, however, excludes another system and refuses to exchange, it's bound to die. And we have seen that in the geopolitical environment, often in the Soviet Union, for example, or in Eastern Germany, because these systems collapse. And what we're seeing arising now, apparently on a global Westernly scale, even if it would be successful, it would collapse. It is not possible to live without this giving and receiving, right, on all levels of existence. You can't stop that. Families are systems. Their members exchange permanently information, giving and receiving energy, nourishment, and love, right? And that's where it thrives on. Remember when I said that's the family soul is not store, or the morphogenetic field is not storing informations of the family that is nourishing, because they are eaten up. Basically, that's how the system lives on, thrives on. They are only storing the traumatic information because this is where it's blocked. Yes, Karen.
What does it mean by their members are exchanging permanent information? I'm just wondering why the word permanent is in there as opposed to just information.
Maybe I think I wanted to say permanently.
Exchanging permanently information.
All the time. That means all the
I see
time.
what you like continuously.
Continuously. Oh, thank you. I will actually change that.
Okay.
Continuously.
like-
yeah, that's a much
Yeah.
better word. Yeah.
Like on a regular basis, you mean?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Exactly. But this exchange is following certain orders. Yeah. It depends on the nature of the relationship, what the right order is, which we now know, right? There is a difference here between a relationship of a parent to the child, or if it's a relationship from a child to a parent, or if it's a partnership relationship. And these are the three fundamental relationships. Yeah, three only. Every relationship falls into one of these categories. Parent-child, child-parent, or equal, right? And you just need to look at the relationship in a family constellation or in real life, and then you know who is the one receiving, who is the one giving, and how to balance it, right? Something to ponder on before I leave you with this. One who is giving all the time without allowing others to give them back is actually saying, better you feel guilty than I. Watch out for people who want to help you all the time without being asked. They are collecting debts. And finally, ask for something the partner can actually give. Yeah, if you want to balance your relationship, ask the partner for, can you sit here on the sofa and watch with me what my favorite show, or can you massage my feet? Something that he can immediately give. If you have the feeling it needs balance, the relationship, then that would be the way to go. And nothing unrealistic and not being quiet. We talked about that before. If asking for something indefinite, like love me forever, please love me forever. The other never knows when what she is given has fulfilled this demand, right? He never knows. Is it now? Did I now love her forever, or when does it end? When does it begin? So balance cannot occur in this instance. Another thing to ponder on: sympathy or pity is not giving or receiving; it divides, because it's forming a hierarchy. Somebody who's sympathizing or feels pity for somebody else in a relationship finds themselves in a position of being better, knowing it better, So it divides. It's just disguised as something nice, which is not.
Hang on. So how would the word empathy stand for? Would empathy be the same word like sympathy or similar?
Well, I'm not quite sure if this is probably my because I'm not native speaking English. I'm probably not 100% sure if that's the same. What's the difference? Karen, can you tell me, or Charlotte, can you tell me what's the difference between sympathy and empathy?
Sympathy is feeling sorry for someone, so there is maybe a sense of hierarchy. There could be. It's not all the time, but there could be. Whereas empathy is feeling, being able to feel and associate with somebody else's feelings. So
neutral.
Yeah, or being able to feel into them. So you may be crying, and I might go, I feel sorry for you for crying, which could be
pity.
sympathy almost, and it's pity. Yeah. Whereas empathy, I might be able to actually feel and go, oh, I can feel that's really sad for you, and I can understand why you would be hurting now. And it's almost me being able to feel into what's happening for you, as opposed to standing outside of
without
you
judgment.
Yeah, and without judgment. Yeah. Yeah,
Okay.
it's actually
Yeah.
probably me stepping into like that thing, that me stepping into your moccasins for a moment and understanding your situation and reality.
So I would, in this case, I would not think that empathy is unbalanced. It's dividing.
Okay.
If it's emotional neutral, I mean, like not coming from the ego mind.
Yeah, probably not coming from the ego. It's more just being able to step into your feelings for a moment. So there's not really a judgment. So yes, I guess it could be more neutral.
Mm-hmm.
It's just simply understanding.
Mm-hmm. Very good. Thank you. That's good to clarify that. And then receiving is most often more difficult than giving. And this, we had that in the first day, is due to the conscience issues, right? Because we're often being told, especially this, children, young children in kindergarten, maybe even before that, they were told to give their precious toy to another kid they hardly know, right? Well, what does it teach them, right? So these are just little examples that we are conditioned that we should give all the time, right? It is not important to receive. Giving is the important part, And then it feels difficult once we grow up to receive, and a lot of, I would say that's the number one cause for relationships failing. That one partner or both cannot receive. It's normally not the lack in giving, nor the lack in receiving. Okay, we are actually at the end of our time, so we won't have this exercise. We do. Are you all good for 10 more minutes? Yeah?
I've got to go. I'm borrowing a friend's house and she's going to be back. But I will love you and leave you all.
Are you sure you don't have 10 more minutes?
No, because I can already hear her outside. I'm borrowing. We've moved into a new house and we don't have internet, so I'm being at a friend's house.
Oh, I see. Well, okay. Let me just say. No, you go, Charlotte.
Okay.
You go.
Ciao, everyone. See you next time. How do I get out of here? Lost the button. Bye.
Bye. See you next. So let's do the exercise. We do the same exercise as with the ancestors, father and mother. We're gonna meet the partner now in the breakout room. Yeah. And because we are now an uneven number, how do we do that? So, well, obviously I'm representing one of the partners and two of you going in a group, and we do the same exercise. One is representing themselves and the other the partner, the ex-partner, whatever partner you showed us, the partner you have invited into our group for today. And without words, you just observe and receive how you feel as a partner, 3 minutes, and then we swap again, and then we catch up on that. When I see you again. Okay, very good. So let's do that. Who wants to start?
I can start.
You go.
So when I represent Christine's husband, I feel there is a lot of love from her. I want to go near her. I want to hug her. But I feel a bit weak. I just couldn't go there. I feel there is some kind of sensation on my palm. That's the only thing that I feel. I want to go there. She's there. There's a lot of warmth, a lot of love. I can feel her kindness, but I want to grab all this goodness. I just couldn't. I couldn't move.
You couldn't move before you felt too weak to move.
Not too weak. A bit weak. A bit weak. I mean, it's not paralyzed. It's just that I want to go there and hug her, but just I couldn't. Something is blocking. I don't know what is it. But when I see her as my ex-partner, I don't want to go there.
You don't want to go there.
I don't want to go there. That's it. You stay where you are. There's no emotional charge. There's no element of anger. I can pretty much confirm from my end, there's no love. Yeah, I don't want to go there.
Now we are interested to hear what Kerstin says when she was representing your partner.
It was quite interesting because after only a couple of seconds, I felt like a puppet player, I pull the strings. I completely pull the strings and I play. I give the tone and I'm in charge. And it gave me quite an excitement, like an exciting heartbeat. Yeah. So that was going on for quite a while, and then all of a sudden, the puppet collapsed. The puppet fell down. The strings were cut. And I saw that because I had my eyes closed, and when I opened my eyes and I saw you, I had to say to myself, you are one strong woman because you resisted. You could snip your own ties off.
Like
You're
the
a
puppet
very
snips
strong.
his own ties.
Yeah, like like a puppet player. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah.
Very good. And then, how are you about yourself?
Yeah, when I've represented myself, yes, there is a lot of love. There is, but there is definitely a blockage, and I don't want my husband to close at the moment. So I need my own space. I need to do my own thing.
Good.
And I do believe there might be a weakness because he just showed that physically as well.
Very good. Thank you very much for sharing. So we leave it there. We're concluding our module 1 with this. Before I let you all go, 2 things. First of all, the next time we meet is on a workshop. So you all have the coupon codes. You have access to your community page, to the calendar, the Google Calendar, right? All the events are on the Google Calendar, but the open workshops and the modules are also on the website. So you use your coupon codes like you did for the module 1, just the other one, to book your workshop. And you can book it now. You don't need to wait till the workshop comes up. Because if you book it now, you are reminded. You get a next day reminder automatically, right? And you have the Zoom link already. So I would extremely recommend that. And you can always look that up. Then we have other events that are not on the website, where you have no coupon code for, which you can only access via the Google Calendar. These are the training gatherings and the training workshops, or practice workshops, as it says, yeah? So stay put. You can import the Google Calendar with clicking on the plus sign into your own Google Calendar, your personal one, and it will, for you, Courtney, it will already show your local time. Yeah, so that's great. Then we also have a Facebook group, not a Facebook, a WhatsApp group. So if you want to be part of the WhatsApp group, I always announce every event upcoming for all trainees. That the WhatsApp group is for all trainees, also the ones who are certified already, to stay in touch. So open workshops and practice workshops and training gatherings will be announced there as well, so a day before. So just, if you want me to add you to that, I need your phone number, or you just write me whatever phone number I should use for the WhatsApp group. Yeah. Of course, start to read books. This video recording will be available in about a week or 10 days time. It depends on how much time I have to do it. And then you can access this also via your the common community page when you go in our group Weka, you see video recordings. And when you see the part, every part is separately recorded. You can click on it when it is blue. When it's not blue, it's not recorded. It's not edited yet. It's not uploaded yet. Right? And please remember, it's really important. This is unfortunate. Not that I like Google in any way, shape, or form, but this is the only way I could offer this service for free for you guys. So you have to have this Google email address and log into Google Chrome to use, to be able to watch on YouTube with this Google address the video recording. Don't forget that. Okay. Questions regarding this? I think you are all good set up to do that. Yeah. And try not to miss out on a workshop. I know that now from the years I have already had the trainees. Yes, we have enough time. We have every month a workshop, but if you start to miss out on workshop, at the end it gets tight. Yeah. So try just not to miss out on a workshop as long as there's not a super pressing other event that is colliding with that. Yeah. Okay. Right. Read the books as well, or one book, or start with one book, or watch the videos that is on our community website in the general chat. The Bert Hellinger videos, there's a plethora. It's like a little library already of lots and lots of videos that are also very, very, very enlightening how he works. And to round up our wonderful weekend we had together, I would like you to say one thing that you take away from the module 1 that is spontaneously coming to your mind. Kerstin.
Success has mother's face and addiction shows father's face.
Thank you. Coiny?
For me, it will be the entanglement can skip one generation.
Very good. Very good. And Karen?
For me, it would be that we're working with soul movement and as opposed to personality and cultural frameworks.
Fantastic. Very, very good. I'm looking forward to see you in the next event, which is, I think, most likely the open workshop. And then we see others, and you will see a lot that you have learned happening there already.
Thank you, Maya.
Thank you so much to be on this journey with me and the group.
Thank you, Karen. Thank you, Maya and Christine.
I've left my phone number in the chat, Maya, for WhatsApp, if that's easy for you to pick it up.
Okay, okay. If it's the same I have, that's okay. If it's the same number I have already?
Yeah, you've already got it.
Okay, then I do it. Okay.
I'm already in the WhatsApp group.
Bye-bye.
Okay, you are, right? Okay.
Bye.
Bye.